it's not just that it was affected by wash push. Unfortunately, and it's regrettable to actually say that there is a good number of people who profited from it, so much so that right now they form part of our legislature. So if you were to make laws against money laundering and you're expecting the same person who has actually been doing it, the same person whose the only reason they are where they are right now is because of money laundering, how is that going to be? Now, this puts us back now to the country because the citizens as a sovereign, civil society groups, for instance, organizations, I think they need to wake up. But then citizens should also demand more accountability. That even though you may have profited from this kind of thing, this is not something that can be allowed to continue. Then hold even these legislators to account and ensure they push through agendas. Part of the challenge why sometimes democracy doesn't work the way it should, because it stops on the election day. And citizens think their responsibility is over, is finished, once they cast that vote. Then 5 years later, they're regretting, we elect people and they don't, provide for us, they disappear and they do things, that are self-interested. They need to hold leadership to account, they need to hold their MPs to account, and they need to keep making demands. That is how responses happen. Because unfortunately, we increasingly not just becoming a money laundering state, we become a narco state in so many ways, because for these kind of activities to continue, it means there is a massive network of people across the board who are actually enabling this behavior. So we can't just talk about a few isolated incidents. No. When there's isolated rainfall, it does not rain everywhere. In fact, most of the time, you will not actually feel like it rained. But when it starts being widespread as it is, which especially in the part of the world we live in, and like you mentioned, when it comes to terrorism financing, for instance, it opens massive loopholes for terrorism financing because they operate in a sphere that's unclear and defined with low regulations. They thrive in that kind of spheres. I will not be surprised, God forbid, if the next attack is going to be connected to a lot of money laundering.
Absolutely.
And a lot of some of these activities that we can't really, say where they're happening. The number of people right now who are so connected to these groups, but then by accident of our own politics or design of it, they found themselves in actually positions of power. And they're now enabling this behavior. They're allowing these things to thrive. We are the most important country in this region, and to the extent that we can't take leadership and respond to our own constitution, I think it's going to be not just embarrassing for us, but it's going to constrain our ability to provide for our people, to give confidence to Kenyans, and actually to advance our interests, not just regionally, but internationally, because our image do matter, and our discipline is going to be very fundamental for our own progress and for building democracy. Otherwise, it's only going to remain democracy in theory.
So this is the study, this is the story that's on page 4 and 5 of the Star.